My dad started the company well, he started the designs way back in South Africa in the 70s when he bought a whole bunch of Leek Williamson amplifiers from the local broadcasting company. And he reconditioned them using his circuits, but keeping the Leek Williamson magnetics. Those were the early VTL prototypes. And then he started the brand in the UK. They call them valves in the UK, but he called it vacuum tube logic, meaning it's logical to use vacuum tubes because they sound better, is our approach. The early designs were not really as refined as the designs are now. The sound of VTL, I would say the foundation sound was developed by my father, which was a large power supply and a solid state rectifier. And that solid state rectifier gives us the ability to drive large capacitors. Inside the Siegfried, the amp behind me, there's 6 of these big beer cans, 3,600 microfarads each. I mean, that thing's got the kick of a mule. In the early days, we had this foundational circuit of a very powerful dynamic power amp because we like to use electrolytic caps. And so the issue with the circuits we were using, very powerful and dynamic, but I wouldn't call them particularly refined. I think when Bea joined the company, and she'll speak more to this about how our sound was when she was a customer, and that's how I met her, and how our sound improved. Another thing that we did since I took over the company from my father in 1993 was to develop preamplifiers. We were not particularly well known for preamplifiers. We were more of a power amp company, and we didn't have any balanced inputs at all. And so developing the auto bias and fault sensing, the re-engineering of the power supplies to have precision regulated circuits, and gave us much more transparency and neutrality and dynamic bandwidth. We spend most of our money at the frequency extremes for sure, top and bottom. And we want an extended top without harshness and without peaking or ringing. And we want a clean bass reproduction as low as we can possibly go. DC to GC, man. DC to daylight.
I was a VTL user, and was a very happy VTL user. I didn't come into VTL, saying, "Hey, I'm going to reform all this and change the sound." It was just a natural progression. I own the Deluxe 225 monoblocks with EL34 tubes, and I just love those amplifiers, and using Martin Logan's CLS electrostatic speakers. I started thinking about and how to bring more of the live music experience into our products, so that the listening experiences. And one of the things you really have to do is open up the top end. I think what the classic VTL products do, they do really well in the mid-range. They're rich, and the speed is great, it's fast, bass is good, but the top frequency and needed a lot of work. It was rough, and I think the other thing is also whether it's the tonality of the instruments and the nuances in the voice. A lot of that refinement comes from being able to really hear the color of the instruments or the voice. That's not something that I think was there before. It was a little bit more masked. And so, when I started thinking about what my own experience with playing the piano or going into concerts and things like that, how do I bring that sound into a new generation of VTL equipment? I think that was kind of the way that motivated me to start working with Luke and refining the sound. It was a slow learning process, but every iteration, I learned something new from that, and it's a building up of that whole process until now I can feel pretty comfortable. Learning the piano makes me a better listener. That is very, very important because everything I do, how much, my hand movement, my body movement, my shoulders, everything affects the sound. And you're sitting so close to the piano, you can hear what it does. And so, that really helps me tune my ears as well. But I want to show you, Ken, you asked me for my piano albums. So this is This is my Bible. This is Claudio Arrau playing Beethoven sonatas, all the entire album. Christian Zimmerman. This is a 2018 recording from DG. Schubert sonatas, the last two sonatas. It's very, very well performed, and the recording is excellent too. So this one is the Schubert quintet, string quintet, and I use this to, usually in the initial listening, I listen to pieces that are the chamber music, that I listen to the sonority of the strings or the sonority of the piano, the instrumental, the tonality, the timbre. And the Schubert chamber music, Schubert this quintet, and also the Trout quintet, they're very, very useful for doing that, because you can hear each of the instrumental lines and how they either blend together or how they fight against each other. I also showed the Cecile McLaurin-Salvant album, and this is her Dreams, and this is a live from the Village Vanguard recording. I want to also show her autograph to us. And this Cecile is very young, very, very talented. She came on the scene around 2014 with her first album. And since then, she has won 3 Grammys already. She has a way of really singing the lyrics to make you, draw you into the story and give you a new, fresh perspective into that song as well. The other piece I have is Beethoven Piano Concerto No. 1 with the pianist Mika Angeli and conductor Giulini. This particular album is an album I bring to every show, everywhere, for all of my critical listening. The other album I want to introduce is Mahler, Das Lied von der Erde. And this is Otto Klemperer, and with the soloists Christa Ludwig and Fritz Wunderlich. It just gives many layers of instrumental colors to listen to and identify them. And when the full orchestra come in the interlude, it's a very powerful moment as well. Then this is just a really fun listening Marriage of Figaro recording with Elizabeth Schwarzkopf, and again, it's Giulini conducting. And to be able to distinguish the voices and hear them blend together so well, so beautifully, it's a very lovely experience. Other things I listen to, this is Luke's favorite, Sinatra singing with a big band. One person commented, if you want to know what soundstage is like, listen to Blue Moon on that record.
I think the future is obviously changing with the current pandemic. We're going to have to figure out another way to market. Other than trade shows, I think crowded trade shows are going to be a tough sell to get people to go, at least until there's a vaccine. But I don't know that this is going to be the last pandemic, honestly speaking. So I think we need ways to approximate what we've been doing at shows, which is basically showing the inside of product or products and answering bi-directional answering questions and answers. We can do a lot of what we've been doing at shows that way. And then sending people into the stores. The retailers local retailers are going to play a critical part of this in doing demonstrations and letting people touch and see the product up close. The future is particularly good for people who want to listen to recordings at home. Especially now with large crowded venues being shut down, I think home entertainment is a good way to go. And I feel good about making a product like this that's a healthy thing to do. I mean, to listen to music, people who have high pressure jobs, they need to be able to decompress, and I think music gives them a way to do that.
Thank you again for giving us this opportunity to introduce ourselves to everybody. And I hope everybody is going to be safe and well, and I look forward to seeing all of you sometime soon, when we have a vaccine, we can be all together again.